Before he died he said, "I'm only 19. I didn't let go." So what if you're 19? I was in prison at 17. Did anyone feel sorry for me? You ask if I regret it. Yeah, I do. I regret not boiling that pot longer. I'm Wang Mingren, 22 years old. They call me a demon. At least a demon has an identity. I don't even have a damn identity. After you hear my story, don't bother telling me what you think. 'Cause I don't care. May 17, 2004. The prison gates slammed shut behind me. The sun was so bright I couldn't open my eyes. The wind smelled like barbecue. And exhaust. What does freedom smell like? For me, it's the smell of being able to pick a new target. I did 5 years. Went in at 17 for rape, robbery, theft. Got a year off my sentence. Got out early. You think I'm grateful to anyone? The only thing I learned inside is how to do bad stuff without leaving a trace. The guard patted my shoulder and said, "Be a good person. Don't come back." I nodded. In my head, I said, "I'm not coming back. That's not your call." 1 month later, I was wandering around Rizal. No job. Not like I couldn't find one. I just didn't want to. Working for someone else. Making a few bucks a day. Why should I? 5 years of my youth gone. The world owes me. I gotta take it back myself. I lived in a rental at the edge of town. The old lady landlord took my rent and left me alone. I slept during the day. Went out at night. Roamed the streets. Checking which roads had cameras. Which neighborhoods had lazy security. Which people lived alone. That evening, I was walking down a street. And saw a preschool. There were broken glass pieces on top of the wall. But there was a gap. There was a girl in the yard. Wearing a teacher's uniform. With her hair in a ponytail. She was picking up kids' toys. She had her back to me. Her profile looked under 20. After tidying up, she carried a small bucket. And walked to a small room in the corner. The window had a flowery curtain. The light came on. She went inside. And never came out. I stood outside the wall. Staring at that window for a long time. Living alone. Young. No dog. No cameras. I checked her off in my head. That night I didn't make a move. No rush. Got a plan. Prison taught me one thing. You gotta have a plan for everything. But I already had her face stuck in my head. Imagining how she'd beg. Imagining her cry. Imagining the look on her face when she's scared. That feeling was kinda wild. Like taking apart a toy when I was a kid. Wondering what it looked like inside. The difference is, toys don't cry. I was lying in bed. My hand touched the boning knife under the pillow. Bought for $15. The blade was thin. I pulled it out. Looked at it in the moonlight. The blade was bright. My heartbeat was steady. I closed my eyes. What came to mind wasn't how to do the job. It was my first month in the joint. Back then I was 17. About 5'7". 110 pounds. First day inside. A guy they called Wolf cornered me in the bathroom. Asked me for a smoke. I said I didn't have any. He slapped me across the face. I fell to the floor, blood dripping from my mouth. My ears were ringing. He said, "Bring cigarettes tomorrow, or I'll break your legs." Next day I had no smokes. He brought 3 guys. They pinned me on the laundry floor. Hit me a dozen times with a mop handle. 3 ribs cracked. Laid up in bed for a month. No one cared. Even the supervisor looked the other way. Inside that place. You're not a person. You're the new kid. That month I was stuck in bed. Every day I thought about one thing. Once I get out, I'm gonna make someone else feel this too. Now I've done it. I opened my eyes. My hand still on the knife. Heartbeat steady. 3 days later it was the 7th of the lunar month. No moon. The sky was black as a pot bottom. I waited for it. Told myself, take it easy. July 22nd. The sky was pitch dark. I wore dark clothes. No shoes. Flashlight in my pocket. A boning knife. Duct tape. Rope. I'd stashed all this under the bed beforehand. Walked 2 laps around the kindergarten wall. The wall was 6 feet high. Someone had cleaned up the broken glass on top. 2 cameras. One facing the gate. One facing the school building. The dorm was a blind spot. Climbed over the wall. Moved quietly. Checked with my hands first, no glass. Pushed myself up. Flipped over and landed. I went through the school building. Nothing there. A few desks. An old TV. Too lazy to haul it. Then I headed to that dorm. The window wasn't locked tight. Left a crack open. I crouched on the sill and looked in. A night light was on by the bed. He was lying on his side. Blanket pulled up to his chest. Breathing really light and steady. I waited like 10 or 15 minutes. Made sure he wasn't gonna wake up. But I didn't leave. I just squatted down under the window. And started checking out his room. Not to case the place. But suddenly I wanted to know what kind of life this guy who's about to die by my hands actually lived. The whole room wasn't that big. Not a lot of stuff. But it was super neat. On the wall by the bed there was a handmade card. It was all colorful. With scribbles saying Miss Little Rain, I love you. Below that, there was a smiley face. Signed by Little Rain from middle class. I let out a cold laugh. Just some kid's drawing. And he treated it like a treasure pinned to his headboard. At the foot of the bed was a half-human-sized plush bear. All worn out, fur was all flattened, but it was washed super clean. A 19-year-old girl. Still, sleeping with a plushy bear. On the desk there was half a bag of those little cookies. The bag was open, and next to it was a story magazine flipped halfway. Corner folded. Crease was deep. Means he actually read it carefully. The folded page had a love story. Title was Waiting for Someone. There was also a photo on the desk. In a simple frame, it was him with two girls, all three of them smiling super bright. Background was the beach at Rizhao Wanpingko. Who was he waiting for? Don't know. Definitely not me. Eating kids' snacks. Reading trashy magazines. Sleeping with a plush bear. Putting a student's drawing on the headboard. A 19-year-old girl. Living like a little kid. I suddenly laughed a bit. The reason I laughed was, the more innocent someone like this dies, the more people cry. He looked like a porcelain doll. Clean and whole. Like the world never touched him. His eyelashes were really long. Skin was pale white. Lips slightly parted. Like he's dreaming something. Maybe it's about that kid named Rain. Or that plush bear he was holding. Maybe it's at the Wanpingko beach. He doesn't know. 3 days later. All his dreams will stop. I stood up. Took one last look at that bright lit window. Such a shame. That's what I thought then. Not sympathy. Just pity. Something so pure. Gone so soon. Climb over the wall. Ride the tricycle back. Pass by a scrapyard. Saw a few old pressure cookers stacked in the yard. I stopped the bike. Took a peek. You know what I was thinking back then? I was thinking what old Jung said in prison was right. After you boil bones, the meat just comes off, leaving only white bone. White bone is easy to handle. Just smash it up. I thought it was funny listening back then. Now that funny is about to come in handy. July 23rd around 2 in the morning. I climbed over the wall again. This time I brought stuff. A knife. Some tape. Rope. A cloth bag. The tricycle parked in an alley 200 feet away. Picked the lock with a wire a couple times. It clicked open. Old-style lock. As easy as opening my own front door. Pushed the door open. The hinge let out a creak. The guy in bed sat right up, his eyes wide staring at me. Moonlight came through the window. Hit the knife in my hand. The blade. A flash of light bounced off his face. I pressed my index finger to my lips. Shh. His mouth dropped open. But no sound came out. Not because he didn't want to scream. He was just frozen in shock. Fear can make you mute sometimes. I read that in a book once. Never thought it was real. I walked over. And clamped my hand over his mouth. His hands were gripping the blanket tight. His whole body was shaking like a leaf. His lips were trembling. His palms were all sweaty. I whispered 4 words right in his ear. Don't make a sound. Or else. I wrapped tape around his mouth. And tied his hands with rope. He was crying so hard his whole body shook. But he didn't dare fight back. Made him put on his jacket. Grabbed his arm and pulled him out. He walked real slow. Not 'cause he didn't want to hurry. His legs were just jelly. When we stepped out of the kindergarten yard, he looked back at that dorm room. The light was still on. The window was open. The blanket was still on the bed. Like a dream that hadn't woken up. He didn't know that was the last time he'd see that bed before getting on the tricycle. I threw a tarp over him. And started the bike. 3 in the morning. The city was asleep. Who would notice a beat-up tricycle? Back at the rental room. I opened the door. And shoved him inside. He fell on the floor. His shoulder hit the corner of the wall. Let out a dull thud. I closed the door. And locked it tight. Placed the knife on the table. He curled up in the corner. Shaking all over. His eyes were full of tears. That clean little face. Covered in tear streaks. His lips moved under the tape. I ripped off the tape. He spoke in broken words. His voice was tiny. His cry was heavy. Boss. Here, take my money. I got cash. Over $2,000 in my bank card. It's all yours. Just let me go. I swear I won't call the cops. I promise. $2,000. I let out a laugh. I said that's not enough. He started crying even harder, his face all twisted up. Like something was choking him. He could barely breathe. Boss. Please, I'm begging you. I'm only 19. I haven't even gotten married yet. My parents are still waiting for me back home. I'll give you anything you want. Just let me go, okay? I didn't say a word. Walked over to the bed and sat down. Staring at him. He kept crying. Kept begging. Just repeating the same stuff over and over. Young. Parents. Future. 19. Future. Begging me to let him go. You know what I hate hearing the most? It's that I'm still young. I'm still young. When I went to prison I was young too. Did anyone give a damn about me? I did 5 years inside. 5 years. From 17 to 22. I got beat up in there. Got starved. Got thrown in solitary. When I got out, I had nothing, not a single cent. Didn't know a single soul. Couldn't find a single job. Did this world ever give me the chance to say I'm still young? No, it didn't. So why the hell should he get that chance? He had no money. $2,000 wouldn't even last me a month. I didn't get the cash. So what did I want? I looked at him under the light. His clothes were all messed up from struggling. His collarbone was showing. His neck was so thin. I stood up. And turned off the light. What happened that night? I don't want to talk too much about it. All I can tell you is, he went from crying to feeling hopeless. From hopeless to silent. From fighting back to giving up. From start to finish. I didn't say a single word to comfort him. 'Cause I didn't need to. He was in my hands. And I could do whatever I wanted. Yeah. He was free. Afterward, I leaned against the bed and smoked a cigarette. He curled up in the corner. He wasn't crying anymore. Not that he didn't want to. He just couldn't. He looked like a crumpled piece of clothing. His whole body was shaking. But no sound came from his mouth. After the cigarette was done, I started thinking about something. He'd seen my face. From beginning to end. He wasn't blindfolded. He spotted me the second he walked in. From the kindergarten to the rental place, he was staring at my face the whole time. He remembered every detail. If he got out alive, the first thing he'd do was call the cops. That meant I had to make him disappear. No. Not kill him. Make him vanish. Those two phrases mean the same thing to me. I stubbed out the cigarette. As I walked over to him, my footsteps echoed in the empty room. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. He saw me getting closer. And started shaking again. His lips trembled as he said his last sentence. Please don't. Don't hurt me anymore. Please. I didn't let him finish. I knelt down in front of him. Grabbed his neck with both hands. His neck was so thin. My palms fit right around it. He started struggling. His hands trying to push me away. His fingers desperately prying at my thumbs. His feet kicking at my legs. Kicked a few times, then had no strength left. His body was twisting. Like a snake grabbed by its neck. His face was changing. From white to purple. Then stopped moving. His eyes were full of tears. But he couldn't cry anymore. I don't remember how long it took. I just remember the look he gave me at the end. It wasn't hate. It was regret. That kind of I shouldn't die like this regret. Then he stopped moving. I let go of my hands. Felt his neck. No pulse. Stood up. Shook my wrist. A little sore. The room was so quiet I could hear the wall clock ticking. Tick-tock, tick-tock. I looked at him lying in that corner. Thought to myself. So damn fast. He was just alive a moment ago. Could talk. Could cry. Could say, I'm only 19. Now there's nothing left. I carried him onto the plastic sheet on the floor. I laid that sheet out ahead of time. Afraid the blood would dirty the floor. Then I went to wash my hands. Laid back in bed. Started thinking about the next problem. What to do with the body. Can't toss it. If I toss it outside, someone will find it. If someone finds it, they'll investigate. If they investigate, they might find me. Have to get rid of it. Get rid of it completely. Make him disappear from this world. I closed my eyes. Started replaying in my head what old Jung taught me. Burning won't work. Burning smells. Neighbors will smell it. Boiling's better. After boiling you can crush the bones. The meat you can throw away. Nothing left behind. Yeah, boiling. The next day. The sun was huge. I went out and bought woven bags. Trash bags. Rubber gloves. Passing by the junkyard. Found an old pressure cooker. The outside was rusty. But the pot itself was still good. When I came back, he was still there. On the plastic sheet. I started working. Had the hacksaw and axe ready from earlier. Told the hardware store guy I was cutting trees. He believed me. But he didn't know I wasn't gonna cut trees. The process. I'll just give you a rough idea. Started with the easy to decompose parts first. Into trash bags. The tough parts were the worst. Not because it was technically hard. Old Jung in prison taught me the angles. The force. The order. I remembered it all. The hard part was something else. When I made the first cut, his hand dropped down. I don't know when it let go. The hard part slowly slid away from his body. Fingers touched my knee. Ice cold. Not that dead cold. More like the cold of dawn dew at 4 in the morning. I stopped. pushed his hand away, and went on. But I noticed my hands were shaking. Not because I was scared. I was tired. I spent 5 years in prison. Carried bricks. Dug ditches. Broke rocks. Thought my hands wouldn't shake anymore. Turns out they still do. Just not from being soft-hearted. The worst part was that area. Too big. Too real. When I was sawing, his face was calm. Eyes closed. Like he was asleep. I stared at that face for a few seconds. That face had expressions a few hours ago. Would cry. Would be scared. Would beg. Now nothing at all. I gritted my teeth. And kept going. Everything that could be cooked, got cooked. The pressure cooker sat on the coal stove in the yard. Simmering through the whole night. I sat beside it keeping an eye on the fire. Adding water in. Making sure it didn't dry out. Water. When it started boiling, the lid was shaking. Making a hissing sound. Steam was rising. With this weird smell I couldn't place. Not a rotten smell. Just that smell of hot grease. The fire was flickering on my face. Jumping around, I stared at that pot. And something hit me. Xing Xiaoyu's mom said she worked at a preschool for 8 months. 8 months. Every day with kids teaching them to sing. Draw. Use the bathroom. She'd pin their drawings by her bed. She could stretch a half bag of snacks out for 3 days. She'd read magazines before bed. The dog-eared page was a love story. Called Waiting for Someone. Who was she waiting for? No idea. Definitely not me. Everyone waiting for me is dead. The lid shook again. Steam blurred my view. I tossed another coal in the fire. Old man Wang next door walked by. Asked what I was cooking for so long. I said pig trotters. He sniffed the air. Said 2 words. Smells good. He walked off. I kept adding water. After boiling it all night. Just like old Jung said. The meat was falling apart. Bones showing through. With a scoop of the spoon. The meat came right off. Just bare white bones left. I smashed the bones with my axe. That sound was loud and sharp. Like cracking a dry piece of dirt. I stuffed everything into a burlap bag. Cleaning up the place. Found his clothes in the corner. Folded neat and tidy. In an old cloth pouch. There was a photo in the pouch too. Him with a middle-aged woman. Probably his mom. On the back was writing. In ballpoint pen. Xiaoyu and Mom. Chinese New Year 2003. A year and a half ago. Back then he was still a little. I stared for a few seconds. Then shoved the photos into a pile of clothes. And stuffed everything into a woven bag. All this stuff had to go. Not a single thing stays. I grabbed the last item from the freezer. Wrapped in a black bag. It had been sitting there for days. This thing was way too important. Couldn't just toss it anywhere. Had to stash it where nobody would ever find it. I thought it over for a long time. The graveyard. There was an old cemetery on the edge of town. Some graves were decades old. Completely abandoned. Living people never go there. The dead just rest forever. Who'd dig in a graveyard? Nobody. At night. It was pitch black. I rode my tricycle out. With 4 woven bags on board. The openings tied tight with wire. Rode for half an hour. Got to Silver River. The water was murky. Not flowing fast. Nobody around. I tossed the bags into the river one by one. When they hit the water, they went down with a splash and sank. I had stuffed rocks in every bag. To make sure they wouldn't float back up. The last bag went under. The water went still again. Like nothing ever happened. Silver River was dark and quiet. I stood there. Thought for a few seconds. It wasn't over yet. There was still one more thing. I rode to the cemetery. The moonlight was faint. Shining on the crooked tombstones. Casting blurry rows of letters. I found a grave that was off to the side. Behind it was a patch of open ground. The dirt was loose. I dug for half an hour with an entrenching shovel. Making a pit about half a meter deep. Dropped the black bag in. Filled the hole with dirt. Stomped it down. Then spread a layer of dry soil on top. So it'd look just like the ground around it. No trace of digging. Then I stood up. And brushed the dirt off my hands. I looked at that pile of dirt. And said just one thing. Guess this is where you gotta stay now. Don't hate me for it. Not like any neighbors are gonna drop by anyway. I rode my bike back. Whistling the whole way. Back at the rental. I cleared out every single thing. The hacksaw. Soaked the axe in bleach. Torched it good. Washed the pressure cooker. It was a little bent out of shape. Tossed it back at the scrapyard. Everything tied to this mess was gone. I crashed on the bed. Slept a whole day. Woke up, and it was nighttime. Pulled open the drawer. Saw something. His phone. Silver white. A flip phone. I didn't toss it. I kept it. Not 'cause I missed him. But these old phones can sell for like $200. $200 is like half a month's food for me. I plugged in a charger I got from a street stall. Powered it on. The screen lit up. full signal bars. I hesitated for a sec, then dialed a number. Li Hongxia's phone rang 3 times. I hung up. Why did I make that call? I don't know. Maybe curiosity. Wanted to hear if his phone still rang. Maybe something else. But that call left a record. Call log. Cell tower location. I only found out later. The cops tracked me down from that one record. 1 call traded for 1 life. No. 2. I locked the phone in the drawer. But the drawer wouldn't close tight. The lock on the cheap furniture was loose. Wouldn't latch no matter what. The phone screen was still lit. A blue-white glow leaking out through the crack. Shining on the ceiling. Like an eye staring open. I didn't see it. That night I had a dream. I had a dream some eyes were watching me in the dark. When I woke up, I figured it was just a nightmare. Nope. It was a setup. By the time I realized it, it was too late. But back then, I thought I could still take another gamble. 2 weeks later, the heat seemed to have died down. Fewer cop cars were cruising the streets. Half of the missing person posters outside the kindergarten had been blown off. I started scouting for a new target. Not because I was hooked on killing, but because I was broke. The $2,000 that Xing Xiaoyu left, paid the rent, bought tools, and barely anything was left. I needed cash. A lot of cash. I was wandering the streets. And spotted a woman. In her 40s. Driving a silver sedan. Dressed in nice clothes. Selling health products in Rizhao. Her last name was Li Hongxia. The key thing was she lived alone. Her husband was away on business. Her son was away at college. Perfect target. I tailed her for a week. And got her pattern down. Every Tuesday night she hit the grocery store. Got home around 9. She'd pause in the hallway for a bit. Fishing for her keys. Then open the door. That was my best shot. While following her I noticed. Every night at 9. She'd call someone on the dot. Her son. The convo was always the same. Did you eat? Is school stressing you out? Mom sent you some cash. Did you get it? Her son was super short on the other end. Yeah. Lasted like 3 minutes. But she always smiled. After hanging up, she'd stand on the balcony spacing out. Holding a picture frame. Couldn't make out who was in it. One time after she hung up, I said something to myself. When you come back from break, Mom will make you braised pork. I don't know why I remembered that. Maybe cause no one ever waited for me. It wasn't pity. It was jealousy. Kill her. Maybe because of that jealousy. August 14th at 9:30 p.m. I got to her place early. Hid in the stairwell corner. Heard her footsteps coming up. Getting closer and closer. She bent down to grab her keys. I rushed up from behind. Left hand covered her mouth. Right hand held a knife to her side. Don't make a noise. Talk inside first. She struggled a bit. But a woman in her 40s wasn't as strong as me. I pushed her through the door. Locked it behind us. Tied her hands and feet with tape. Threw her on the couch. She was calmer than Xing Xiaoyu. Not that she wasn't scared. Just that she didn't dare to fight back. This kind of woman with a family and money is most afraid of getting caught or exposed. She said. How much do you want? I'll give you anything. I said. Where's your card? She gave me the PIN. I went to the ATM and took out the cash. 30,000. Just over 30 grand. That's the most I could get. After I got the money, I looked at her. She was still tied up on the couch. Her lips were shaking. Her eyes were avoiding mine. She said. You got your money now. Can you let me go? I looked at her. And cracked a smile. I said. You saw my face right. Didn't you? Her pupils suddenly shrank. She got it. That night, I killed Li Hongxia the same way. And after that used the pressure cooker and silver box too. Some people ask me. What goes through your mind when you kill someone? Honestly. Nothing at all. Like dealing with a broken thing. Take it apart. Bag it up. Toss it away. No emotions. No hate. No thrill. And no regrets either. If I had to say I felt anything. The only thing was now, it was finally my turn to be in charge. I get to decide if someone lives or dies now. Did 5 years in the slammer. In there everyone could mess with me. The guards would yell at me. The old cons would beat me up. Even the cook in the cafeteria would short me a scoop of food. Now I'm the one messing with others. In this world you either get bullied, or you bully someone. I picked the second one. After I grabbed Li Hongxia's cash, I went to the store and bought a roast chicken, 2 bottles of beer. Back in my rental room, I ate that whole chicken by myself, drank both beers, let out a big burp. Then I looked at Li Hongxia's stuff in the corner. Muttered to myself, you're hungry too, right? Too bad you can't eat anymore. I cracked a smile. Right then, I felt normal eating and drinking. Talking to myself, but normal people don't eat next to a corpse. I wiped my mouth. Tossed the bones in the trash. Just about to lay down. Someone knocked 3 times. Not too hard, not too soft. I stood up. My hand reached for the bone knife on the table. Walked to the door. Peeked through the peephole. The hallway light was busted. Pitch black. No one there. I thought I misheard. Just as I turned around, 3 more knocks. This time I saw it clear. It wasn't a person. It was the wind. The window in the stairwell was left open. The wind was shaking the door. It was the wind. But after the knocking stopped, I heard another sound. Someone talking downstairs. 2 men. One said, "Did you check this place?" The other said, "Not yet. Tomorrow." My grip on the knife handle tightened. Tomorrow is end of August. Something's off. The streets suddenly got crowded with cops. Shadows and both banks were taped off. Some guys were poking in the river with long poles. I know what they're fishing for. But I'm not scared. Because those things were already smashed, rotted, and sunk into the mud at the bottom of the river. But they started going around the neighborhood. Li Hongxia's neighbor called the cops. The police pulled the security footage from the complex. Even though the picture was fuzzy, they could see a young guy showing up near her place. The camera didn't catch my face clearly, but it got a clear shot of a tricycle. Blue. The bike had rust spots. 1 rearview mirror missing. Lots of those tricycles in Rizal. But add the factors young guy at night. Near Li Hongxia's place, that narrowed it down a lot. The police started looking. I knew I was in danger. So I gave up the rental. And ran to Qingdao to lay low. Stayed in Qingdao for 2 weeks. Thinking the heat had died down, I went back to Rizhao to grab some stuff. The bank card with savings. Xing Xiaoyu's phone. A few changes of clothes. One afternoon in mid-September, I showed up on the streets of Rizhao. I just got to the entrance of the alley by the rental, and saw a few guys squatting by the road smoking. They looked up and saw me. I looked back at them. Then they all stood up. Too fast. I didn't even have time to react. 2 guys grabbed me, 1 on each side, and pinned me to the ground. Arms twisted behind my back. Click. The handcuffs snapped on. The whole thing took less than 3 seconds. I was lying face down on the ground. Cheek pressed against the gravel and dust on the road. I could taste rust in my mouth. 1 guy crouched down. Patted my face. "Wang Mingren. We've been looking for you for a while." I didn't say anything. Not scared. Not angry. Just tired. These months of pretending to be a good person were exhausting. Every day I had to act innocent. Nod to the neighbors. Walk with my head down on the street. Couldn't show any cracks. Now I didn't have to fake it anymore. But a picture suddenly flashed in my head. Xing Xiaoyu curled up in the corner, saying, "I'm only 19. Just a flash." Then that image was gone. Like flipping off a light. I closed my eyes. Figured I got my money's worth with these lives. The interrogation room was cold. The light was bright. 2 cops. 1 named Liu. 1 named Zhang. Detective Liu was in his 40s. Detective Zhang was younger. Around 30. Detective Liu slid a stack of photos in front of me. "You know this guy?" The photo was Xing Xiaoyu. I stared at it for a few seconds. "Yeah, I know him." "What's so funny?" "Xing Xiaoyu. How do you know him?" "I don't know him." "Then how come you knew his name is Xing Xiaoyu?" I shut my mouth. They grilled me for 4 hours. From afternoon till night, the light stayed on. They chain smoked. My water cup got refilled 3 times. I didn't take a sip. They asked where I was on July 23rd early morning. I said I was asleep at home. "Any witnesses?" "None." "You know Li Hongxia?" "No." "Then why do the withdrawals from Li Hongxia's bank card match your moves?" "I have no idea." "The surveillance caught you." "No way." "I checked, there's no cameras around there." The moment I said that, I knew I slipped up. Detective Liu and Detective Zhang exchanged a look. They grinned. "No cameras. How did you know there's no cameras?" I went silent. Then they pulled out something. Xing Xiaoyu's phone. My fingers twitched. They lifted my prints off the phone. Because I used that phone in Qingdao to call Li Hongxia. That random weird call. The one and only fatal piece of evidence. I stared at that phone. Said nothing. Detective Liu asked Wang Mingren. "Got anything else to say?" I kept my head down. Silent for a long time. No way. Officer Zhang was young. Couldn't hold back. Stood up and slammed the table. "Wang Ming guy. Is your heart made of stone? Look at these pictures. He was only 19. His parents are still looking for him. You know his mom knelt at the police station entrance. Her forehead all bruised." I kept my head down. Didn't look at him. Officer Zhang kept going. "You're a man too. If your mom got killed, how would you feel?" I lifted my head. Looked at him. "My mom. She ditched me a long time ago." Officer Zhang froze. The interrogation room went quiet for a few seconds. Officer Liu pulled him. Made him sit down. For the rest of the night, I spilled everything. Shadow River. The graveyard. The pressure cooker. All of it. I went from start to finish. My voice steady. Like I was telling someone else's story. Even the recorder paused to glance at me twice. To check I wasn't reading a script. At the end, Officer Liu asked one thing. Do you regret it? I said yeah. They wrote it down. Then I added another thing. Regret not boiling the pressure cooker longer. Officer Zhang kicked the chair over with a bang. Pointed at my face. His face turning red. Lips trembling for a long time. Not a single word came out. Finally he stormed out the door. Officer Liu didn't move. He just looked at me. Silent for half a minute. Then closed the notebook. Stood up. Walked up to me. Leaned in and said something. Wang Ming guy. You know what? You're not human. I said I knew. He turned and walked out. The door slammed shut. Just me and that buzzing light on the wall left in the interrogation room. I sat there in the chair. My wrists cuffed together. My back ached. My shoulders hurt bad. But my mind was dead quiet. Like the surface of Shadow River. Next day, I took them to the burial spot. We drove about 40 minutes. Pulled over by a dirt path. The cop grabbed my arm and led me into the graveyard. We walked maybe 200 yards. And there was the grave. Weeds had grown half a foot tall. Covering up the signs I dug before. I stopped. Pointed at the dirt behind the headstone. Right here. The lead detective was named Smith. Late 40s. He gave me a look. Then waved the tech guy to start digging. 3 shovelfuls in. The shovel hit something hard. Everyone went dead silent. The tech guy crouched down. Brushed off the loose soil. A black plastic bag was showing. The top was tied real tight. The surface was kinda rotten. Stuff inside was peeking out. Captain Sun walked up to me. Staring right into my eyes. What's his name? Xing Xiaoyu. How old? 19. How old are you? 22. Captain Sun didn't ask anything else. He turned and walked away. The tech guy put the black bag into an evidence bag. Sealed it up tight. Tossed it in the car. Nobody said a word. I watched them load it into the vehicle. Thinking at least he can finally get out of here. Not because I felt sorry for him. But because I won't have to see this place anymore. On the way back, the cop guarding me kept smoking. Ash dropped on my arm. Burned a little. I didn't flinch. The window was rolled down. Wind blowing in. Carrying that early autumn chill. Then I suddenly remembered what Xing Xiaoyu said. I'm 19. Yeah. 19. What a great age. Too bad she met me at 22. December 2004. Rizhao Intermediate People's Court. I didn't get a lawyer. The prosecutor read a really long indictment. Most of it I already knew. I stood in the defendant's box with my head down. Heard someone crying nearby. Xing Xiaoyu's mom. She'd been crying since the trial started. Crying so hard she was shaking all over. 2 court officers had to hold her up so she wouldn't collapse. Her eyes were all red. Lips cracked. Half her hair was gray. She was only in her 40s. But half her hair was already gray. When she stood up, I saw her left hand from the side. She was gripping a little cloth bag. Blue. Hand stitched. Edges worn white from use. I found out later. That bag held Xing Xiaoyu's childhood photos, the red envelope from the first month's pay at kindergarten, and half a bag of unfinished snacks. He took them everywhere he went, as if carrying these things meant his daughter was still here. He gripped the cloth bag, his fingers turning white from the pressure. I looked away. Not out of regret, but because I'd seen that half bag before. Then he let out that scream. The judge asked me, Defendant Wang Mingren, do you have any objections to the charges in the indictment? No. Xing Xiaoyu's mother broke free from the bailiffs, trying to rush at me. How could you? How could a person like you do this? My Xiaoyu. He was only 19. The bailiffs held her back. The judge banged the gavel. The courtroom went quiet for a few seconds. He kept crying. Li Hongxia's family had also come. Her son sat in the last row of the gallery, a guy in his early 20s. Didn't say a word. His eyes stared straight at me. He didn't scream like Xing Xiaoyu's mother. He just looked at me like that. Without moving. Tears streaming down his face. He didn't wipe them. I lowered my head under his stare. Not out of regret. Just out of shame. The judge asked me, anything else you want to say? No. Court adjourned. As Xing Xiaoyu's mother was helped out of the courtroom, he suddenly turned back and looked at me. He said one thing. Not loud, but the whole courtroom heard it. You won't get away. The law got you. And heaven will too. I didn't answer. But a thought hit me. If people still have awareness after death, would he ask me one question? Why did you kill me? I didn't know how to answer. Because I didn't have an answer either. Someday in 2005, right before the final moment, a lot of images flashed through my mind. The gates of the prison. The walls of the kindergarten, the surface of Shadow River, the headstones in the graveyard, the last frame was Xing Xiaoyu's face. That night, he curled up in a corner, and said a lot of stuff. He said he never got married, never been in a relationship. He said he never took his mom to Beijing. He said he never got his life together. But then he ran into me, so his 19 years stopped at July. His life turned into a missing person notice, a portrait on a wall, a black bag in a cemetery, and for me, it's just an experience. One I still feel nothing about when I think back. Do you want me to repent? Sorry. No. Do you want me to cry? Sorry. I won't. You ask why I'm so cold. I don't know. All I know is, some people walk in the sunlight. Some people live in the shadows. I happen to be the latter. And I dragged someone, who shouldn't have been dragged, down into the dark with me. Wang Mingren was executed in some month of 2005. He was 23 years old. He never once said the words "I'm sorry" till the end. Xing Xiaoyu's mom got some civil compensation later, but she told the reporter, "I don't want the money. I just want my daughter back." Li Hongxia's son took a year off school, and transferred to a college in another city. That kindergarten tore down the dorm where Xing Xiaoyu lived, and turned it into a storage room. But every year on July 23rd, some teacher still puts flowers there. This case sparked big debates back then: supervision gaps for repeat offenders after release, spotting and treating antisocial personalities, safety issues for women living alone. But these reflections came way too late. For Xing Xiaoyu's mom, a second late is forever late. One last question for you, and for all of us. Wang Mingren got executed by the law, but did the Wang Mingrens in this world really disappear? And shouldn't each of us do a little more before tragedy hits? Like taking a second look at that suspicious stranger on the street. Like checking in on a friend living alone if they're okay. Like giving a little more slack to those trying to start over after getting out. It's not for anything else. Just so that one day, when we or the people we care about are walking home, we don't have to be scared of the shadows around the corner.